Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today as usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla. Tomorrow is the final day of the week, and yeah, like I said, today is going to be a pretty interesting day, mainly because, well, we had the PPI, the PPI come out today, and it came in pretty much horrible. It was pretty bad, which, you can see the market overall selling off, but Tesla, a very strange day with Tesla. So we're going to go over all that, but all that being said, as usual, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, and as usual, this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research, but let's just jump right into it. So Tesla, market literally just closed. Tesla ending the day down 5.75%, ending at pretty much $202. So not very high above that 200 level anymore, right? So that's gonna be a pretty important level to hold, but we'll see what happens with that, and let's just really in general, give you my thoughts as to what I personally think will happen. So pretty much what I said yesterday, right? I did talk about yesterday how I expect, how it's kind of like a do or die moment, right? We came into the market red, pre-market was red, because not CPI, PPI came in, the data came in like atrociously. It was just not good. But then Tesla, the market, and Tesla tried to recover. The market couldn't really recover. It tried, but it wasn't that great of a recovery. Tesla actually went green. Tesla actually went green today, right? You can see it actually made technically new highs, of the recent moves, I guess, if you will, over the last, whatever time frame this is, like a few months or whatever that is. Essentially up to almost 220, right? It went up to, we'll just say 218 to make it simple, right? Pretty much 218, just shy of 218. Which is pretty good, pretty much almost 220, which is that main price target I had. I didn't enter any puts, mainly because I was waiting for literally 220 to 222, that range, to enter puts. So I didn't actually enter any puts on Tesla, unfortunately. However, with that being said, this was a massive bull trap because it did actually break out, went above this level over here today. Seemed pretty decent at first, especially how it was outperforming the market. But like I said, I expected a bull trap, right? I talked about this several times, how regardless of what happens here, and it's a do or die situation, and even if it does go up and goes up to like 220 or whatever, how, like, to me the upside was extremely limited, right? However much higher it might go, which I didn't think it was much higher, and how the downside I think is substantially higher, right? And that's essentially what happened today, and I do think this is going to be most likely the start of the downtrend finally happening. Well, at least it's not guaranteed yet, but I do think this is the start, at the very beginning of it. And I'll tell you where I personally think it'll go and all that stuff, and I'll tell you why, on top of everything else, I do think that. So yeah, so the thing that's interesting, though, the one thing that did make this trading day a little bit strange is the fact that this candle right here is where the downtrend for Tesla really started, because Tesla was actually outperforming the market pretty well for the majority of the day. Market was green, market was red, Tesla went green and was up like maybe almost 2% or something like that, I think, at the highest point. But then I think it was this candle right here. We can go on like the 15-minute, maybe it's better. Yeah, this candle right here is where there was an announcement talking about how Tesla has to recall like almost 400,000 vehicles equipped with FSD because of potential safety crashes or whatever. But when it says, when they say Tesla recall, it usually just means an update, right? Unless this case somehow means more and they have to literally do a physical recall, which is not usually the case with Tesla. I don't think it is this time either. We'll see. We'll find out more. I don't think it is, though. Pretty sure it's just an update, or over the air update, which is for the most part pretty irrelevant. It's not a huge deal at all. But this is where that sell-off started on that news, and then it essentially really just started the sell-off on Tesla, and the market really just started to sell off as well towards the end of the day, which definitely didn't help Tesla whatsoever as well, right? So keep that in mind. The market definitely looking a little bit weak now. Very bearish looking candle on the QQQ, pretty damn bearish looking candle on SPY, pretty bearish candle on Tesla. Like, there's just bearish candles all over the place, and this really feels like it could be the end of the rally, at least for now. So yeah, so what else should we be looking at for Tesla, right? So first and foremost, on the daily, you can see just a very obvious bearish divergence, man. It doesn't get more crystal clear than this, right? On the daily, it's like, you can kind of see it. This candle that we closed out here is making new lows from this overall movement over here, right? New lows below all these, pretty much right here. But when Tesla was at this level right here, the RSI was pretty much at what, 67 almost, right? Where Tesla closed this candle at 195. We're now at 202 pretty much, and Tesla's obviously lower, right? That's a pretty obvious bearish divergence, but it's substantially more obvious if you go over to these time frames, like for instance over here, right? As this RSI is going pretty much straight down right, the stock was going straight up right. We talked about this several times. You can see this on the 4-hour chart as well, right? You can see a very obvious lower closure here on Tesla, as RSI is just slowly making its way downwards, while the stock is essentially still arguably making its way upwards even after today's close. Just very obvious bearish divergences happening right there. So that's something else to keep in mind, right? And that's essentially the main thing that I'm personally looking at. And on top of that, the fact that Tesla is just constantly getting rejected at these levels, you can easily argue that this is, it's a very sloppy but a potential, still valid, if you will, potentially a double top-ish area, because here it went up to like what, 214, and here it went up to like 217. Not a huge difference there. So you can definitely argue this is still an ultimate like double top area, especially if you go on the 4 hour. It becomes a lot easier to believe this on the 4 hour chart, where you came up here, rejected, came up here, and then we never really closed the 4 hour candle above this level again of 214, right? They all closed pretty much at 214, and if it got any higher, it got rejected within that candle's, you know, closing time, if you will, if that makes any sense. So yeah, you know, just very, very bearish outlook right now on Tesla. And you know, I saw a lot of people on YouTube especially talking about how Tesla can still rally and everything like that. And I mean, I guess it was possible, but it's just, man, it's just, you have to also just consider it logically, right? You know, when you see something rally this hard and this fast, it's just watching people still scream for even more. It's just insane. It reminds me of back when we were over here and you would have the bears, you know, screaming, like even after this such a massive harsh sell-off, and the bears even down here were still screaming for like 70. It reminds me of the same thing when, you know, now we're up here and then you have the bulls screaming for like 300. It's just so moronic to me. Like it blows my mind that people think like that. It just doesn't make any sense. And to me, it's the same concept, right? It's very, very similar idea. So keep that in mind, guys. You have to be really careful psychologically as well. But all that being said, you know, it doesn't mean that Tesla is just gonna straight up crash tomorrow, or like just crash. I mean, it could, but like I don't think necessarily means that we're just gonna straight up crash. It said it's over, you know, time to go down 20% tomorrow or something like that. Not at all, right? I think the first and foremost is the fact that I do think there's a decent chance we still might get a bit of a bounce. Like I actually still think there's an okay chance that we come down to this level, like say tomorrow, like pretty much tap 200 more or less, maybe a little bit lower even. Then I wouldn't be surprised if we actually come up maybe like over here, and then, you know, one more time revisit this kind of 210-ish area, potentially make an inverted head and shoulders like this, and then we finally get the rejection. That is definitely a possibility still, which I'm keeping open as well, which I don't think is impossible. But regardless, I do think that downtrend is here, and I do think that it's extremely unlikely we go much higher than this. Again, I could be wrong. I just don't think that would be genuinely shocking to me if we go any higher than essentially 218, 220. But yeah, so the main thing that bears, I guess, want to see is they want to see 200 lose, right? They definitely want to see 200 lose, and that's definitely something that the bears really want to see as soon as possible. And if that were to happen, I do believe that what's going to happen next. So if we don't get this bounce at 200 up to like, you know, 210 again, and then you know, we start actually making our way down, the other option in my opinion is we just completely collapse. Well, not completely collapse, but we do collapse somewhere over down to this kind of like 190, 185 area, pretty much straight down tomorrow and Friday, or sorry, tomorrow and Monday. And then we come up to maybe like 200 or something like that, retest, and then make our way lower, which again, ultimate price target will be somewhere around this gap fill-ish area or so. But now that I do think that we finally have reached the top of this rally for Tesla, I do think this might arguably be the top. And I know people are going to be extremely upset. They're going to be crying in the comments. Oh my goodness, Tesla Investor Day is coming up, guys. Investor Day is coming up. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for them. Again, I am a TESLA bull, huge Tesla bull. Just right now, not a very much of a TSLA bull, mainly because I do think that I'll tell you a few other reasons, but the main reason is because it's hard to be a bull when you see this freaking stock run up like more than 2 times in like a month, man. Come on, like you gotta be realistic here, right? But regardless, another thing I'll talk about later at the end of the video. However, you know, if this is the top, which I do think there's a very strong case for it being the top, and the drawdown and the, you know, pullback and the correction from this rally is about to start, I do think that the rally will most likely come down to around this kind of 160 to as low as you know, this 0.618, which is the 146 area. Like that to me will be my overall price target. Pretty much, to make it simple, 150, 155, somewhere in that general range. But I would personally be very happy starting to add, you know, in the 170, let's say around 170, I would be happy to add as low as, you know, all the way down here. But I'd have to see some actual reactions first, right? I do have my covered calls being sold tomorrow, so I will be pretty much all cash starting tomorrow. And again, I could be completely wrong. The market could completely rally and I could completely miss out. We'll see, of course, though I do strongly believe Tesla will retrace at the very least down to like 160 minimum. I'll be shocked if it doesn't, if not at least 170, right? I would be shocked. I don't think it's going to happen like in a day or two, of course, but I do think it is going to happen over the next maybe month or so. Roughly, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less, right? You never really know. The timing is the hardest part in my opinion. Timing and knowing exactly when it'll come, that's impossible, man. Who knows when the hell that's going to happen? I'm just confident that it will at some point get there, whether that's, you know, quick or not so quick, right? But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm personally foreseeing right now, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go on the daily one more time very quickly and take a look at the overall major moving averages. Like I said, I don't think Tesla is going to straight crash, right? We still have a bunch of potential supports underneath us, right? We still have the 200. We still have, in my opinion, this line over here, which is around the 185-ish area. We still have the 21 EMA catching up to us, which by the time we get down here, will probably be around the 185 area, which should be also a pretty major supply or demand zone right here. Again, also around that general area. So I don't think we're just gonna straight crash down and get to 150 by like next week or something like that. Possible, of course, and you never know. I just don't think it'll happen that fast, right? I do think we'll get there. I just don't think it'll happen straight there either. Right. On top of that, we of course have the Bollinger Band, pretty much having the white line of the Bollinger Band, the median, if you will, of it being around the 180 level, right? We of course have the 100-day moving average, pretty much also around that level. We have the 50-day moving average well below us, which I do think will ultimately probably come down to. I think that should be where we get the true bounce and potentially like the bottom finally too. We'll see, of course, if that actually comes to fruition. And we are, of course, once again back in between the 5 and the 10-day moving average. But today's move, and especially the way the market looks, man, the market this is just a hideous looking candle on SPY, right? This candle is just so ugly, it's insane. Like, this is just so bearish looking. It's crazy how bearish it looks, right? Then you have QQQ, just an absolutely god-awful looking candle that's just looking absolutely pitiful. Just really bad looking candles across the board, man. And the VIX finally actually bouncing right off this breakout that we had as well. So the market looks like it's ready to fall, and the VIX looks like it's ready to go, man. So I don't know. It's getting pretty spicy here, guys. It's getting pretty spicy. So just, hopefully I warned you guys plenty of times. Again, we'll see. It doesn't mean that it has to completely fall, but like, I give a lot of warnings. So hopefully some people maybe, at least to some extent listened. Again, it's not financial advice. It's just my opinion, but that's kind of what I have been seeing for a while. And again, I do believe this could be the start of the downturn. Again, also, like I said, doesn't mean it's going to be a straight fall, but I do think it is going to most likely be a downturn from now on until maybe at least a month out or something like that. But we'll see. We'll revisit it. Again, I really want to see closures below 200, and that will really confirm it. But, again, there's still a chance that we bounce at 200 up to 210 one more time before we really begin as well. So that is definitely a possibility I am keeping in mind. Now, the final thing I want to talk about regarding Tesla and why I'm, again, a TESLA bull and not a TSLA bull as of today, as of right now, is because, like I said, when you have a stock rally this much, right, it's hard to look at this and be like, yeah, I want to buy on this little dip right here. It's like, this is hardly a dip. This is not even this is pretty much not a dip at all, right? This is nothing. So that's number one. And number two, my issue with TSLA right now is that it just feels so overcrowded. Like, it feels like it's the same shit that I see with people talking about, like GameStop, AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, all this bullshit, right? All they do is talk about how, like, man, just buy this, hold it, and we're all gonna be rich together, and things like that, and it's gonna moon, and all that bullshit. And it feels like the same thing is happening with Tesla, man. I just see too many comments of people being like, yeah, guys, you just hold, nothing to worry about Tesla, just hold it. It's easy money, just buy and hold, and we're all gonna be rich in 10 years or something. I see way too much of that, and when I see that kind of stuff, like, to me, I just view it like the market is not really, it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy. And when I see that kind of stuff, I'm like, man, there's no way it's that easy. It's just, it feels too easy. Like, there's no way this bear market is over. Also, sometimes part of me feels, right? Part of me in the back of my head is like, there's no way this bear market is done. Like, that was nothing. Like, that felt way too simple. That did not feel difficult to me at all. Like, with, at least from what I've heard bear markets are like. I'm like, wow, that's it. That's it. It's done. Cool. That was pretty easy, right? And it feels like everyone's still too optimistic, and it's just very strange to me. I'm just getting very mixed signals about that. I don't know what it is, man. Something just strange about that I just don't like. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it ends up actually turning into. But it just feels like too many people are just way too optimistic lately, and it's like overly optimistic. And something about that just does not sit right with me. Like, I'm all about positivity, and I'm excited and everything like that for Tesla as well. But like, I just feel like not enough people got shaken out yet, man. I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong. Of course, I don't want to be right on that, but I do. Some part of me in the back thinks that not enough people are scared, and not enough people have gotten shaken out yet. We'll see. Of course, we will see. But all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.